Okay, it's winter time here in Tasmania. No place for man or reptile. There's not that many snakes around, so it's time to revisit some of my favourite snakes. Looking through my sketch pad, going through and giving a bit of colour to some of the nice fond memories. Today we're looking at the Water Moccasin, otherwise known as the Cottonmouth or the Gaper, or there's a few other names. I prefer Cottonmouth. Check this video out. I'm the snake artist and I draw some of the most beautiful animals in the world. When I don't use photos, I don't always get the best sketch. But I love doing this and I want to share it with you. So come along on the adventure as I fill my journal with some of the most amazing wildlife. One of the first things I noticed when I caught this cottonmouth was the tail. The tail is shaking really fast and violent, like a rattlesnake. These guys are vipers. They're in the same family group, and you can see there are some similarities. The other similarity between your cottonmouth and your rattlesnakes is the pits, the heat-sensing pits. Which is interesting because the main diet of a cottonmouth is fish and amphibians, but they will eat birds, they will eat mammals, so I guess that comes into play. And the things that eat them are things like snapping turtles and alligators and birds of prey. One of the things I just absolutely adore about this species is its fret display. The fact that it just gapes its mouth open really quick. You see this flash of white and these massive big fangs. Jan and I have tackled some pretty dangerous snakes in our time, some of the world's most venomous, large snakes. But it's the first time I've heard Jen say,
I have to admit I'm worried, Bill.
And that's probably down to the fact that it was showing its fangs all the time. But they're not that bitey. They're not a dangerous species. And when you consider danger, you've got to consider things like, is it likely to bite you? Dangerous means it can hurt you, harm you. This animal's not likely to do that. It's likely to keep out of your way, mind its own business, and when it is bailed up, try to bluff its way out of trouble. I mentioned the tail before and I'll mention it again because the interesting thing about it is not just that it quivers and shakes a bit like a rattlesnake. It does what's called caudal luring. Now this is where a snake's going to wiggle its tail around in a way that looks like a grub or a worm to invite birds and lizards and things like that in to try and bite the tail, and when it does, bang, the snake's got a meal. In Australia we have the death adder. It's not the same family group. The death adder is an elapid, but what the death adder has done, it has converged to act in the same way. We call that convergent evolution, where a species just takes that part of the food chain in the environment, finds that niche on the other side of the planet that can be completely unrelated, but what works in nature, and so it's repeated. And so here's my touch-up of the cottonmouth. Easily one of my favourite vipers. They are gorgeous animals. So I hope you enjoyed that. Catch you in the next video. See you later.